I would say if there's, oh man, I'm gonna sound so cliche and cheesy, but if there's something you want to do, just honestly do it. There is a way to do just about anything in our world now. So if you're bored, you're unhappy, there's something you want in life, there's no reason why you can't create it with your own two hands.
Hello and welcome to Season 2 of the Commerce, Coffee, and Community Podcast Entrepreneurs Edition. Today, I'm joined by Riley Banzer of Olympus Freerunning. How's it going today, Riley?
Doing good, man. How are you?
Good. I'm very happy to have you here today, Riley. And why don't you start us off today by just letting us know a little bit about your background, where you grew up, and what made you decide to set a business up here in Prince George?
I born and raised Prince George. I first heard of entrepreneurship when I was 18, and that was through a network marketing company. And I had no idea that even existed. And I thought, well, that's freaking cool. I didn't even know that was a profession or a thing or an avenue. And I was like, I like it. And I just got really fascinated by it and thought that's what I'm going to do. And then I ended up pausing on that and running to Vancouver for a year to do some acting after high school. Same thing. Didn't even know that was even a thing that anybody could do. I thought you had to be like born in Hollywood or an alien or something like that to like be in movies and stuff like that. But my mom's like, hey, you want to do that? And I was like, yeah, sure. Because I didn't do anything in high school besides the basics. There was nothing that interested me. None of the big fancy classes. It was just drama class and volleyball class and stuff like that and gym and stuff. And and then couldn't hack it as a starving artist. I sucked at waiting tables and working at a restaurant. Terrible. I was an all right bartender, but I could not remember tables, orders, and like what was in them, and it just caused me so much like stress. I was like, I think I got it right, but now I'm second guessing myself. So I was just terrible server.
We've all been there.
Yeah, bad time. And someone gave me crap once for. I was gonna ask, no swearing, right?
No, that's okay. Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Someone gave me crap once for their steak coming out bad, and I was like, that wasn't my department, but she did that cliche thing where they talk down to the server like this is how it should have come out. Like I was like, oh, lady, this isn't me. And I just remember like this sucks. And so I was having a conversation with my roommate at the time down there, and I was like, no, I don't think I could do this. I was like, how long are you gonna do it? He's like, I'm gonna do this for the rest of my life. And I was like,
wow,
like he's gonna do the starving artist, make it as an actor thing. And I was like, kudos, man, that's awesome. I was like, I can't do it this way. I want to do the acting and play the world or in the world of make believe, but I have to come back at it from a position of power. And so I came back and I was like, I'm going to start a business, and I'm going to find a way to start a few businesses that will allow me to, or that will fund me to go back down and do the starving artist, or not the starving artist. I can't even say it. Come back, start some businesses so that they could fund my acting career. So
be like a well-nutritioned artist, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Come down from a position of power where I'm not like walking into the room and being like, oh my God, I need this or else I'm not eating this week. It's like, like I'm desperate. It's just like, I'm doing this because it's fun and because I enjoy it and whatnot, but I'm okay if I don't make it. And so I came back and I was like, I'm going to start a business in 6 months and then I'll build it and then I'll move back here in a year.
Right. Yeah.
And cue the montage of 5 years of nonsense and grinding and bullcrap and nothing good happening. And I tried and failed like 4 or 5 different businesses and attempts. And I was 20 when I moved back to Prince George, 20 or 21. And I think I struggled and bumbled away until I was about 23. And I was like, no one's going to listen to me when I'm some 20-year-old trying to start a business on lifestyle and freedom and health and whatnot. I need to do something more dramatic and physical. So I'm going to start a parkour gym because I like parkour. I was doing it when I was 16 just because I don't know, just kind of came out of nowhere and started seeing it on YouTube and thought this was really cool. And I was like, I'm going to open this gym. There was one in Vancouver that I went to a few times. And I was like, there's nothing like that up north. So, there's an opportunity. Want to be an entrepreneur, like the sport. Boom, easy peasy. I'm going to write a business plan in 1 month. submit it, get the funding, and build it in the other month. And no, yeah, it was business plan for a month, build for a month, and then open in the third month and be cruising.
Easy peasy, right?
Easy peasy. It was simple. It was a flawless plan. Like that's how it should have went.
Right.
And then that 3-month plan turned into essentially, three-ish years of just trying to get the funding, try and get everything, just trying to get it all off the ground, and it was not going well. I think Community Futures in town, I applied to them about 4 times. They didn't think the idea had any backing in town. They're like, that's probably not going to work. You should try and maybe like add something like CrossFit. And I'm like, we have 9 CrossFit gyms here. Like, I don't need
competition.
I don't need to open another CrossFit gym. But they didn't see the parkour thing. And so I was like, hey, well, now I got to figure out how to raise this money myself.
Right.
And pay off my debts from being the starving artist in Vancouver. So back to work I went, and 2017 rolled around, and I was looking at some buildings, and I found a building that was actually pretty good, but I couldn't get the funding at the time. And then back to work I go again.
Yep.
Next round of it, and I think I worked somewhere or between a few jobs for 2 years. I worked at this one job that was just awful, and I did that for a year, but it allowed me to pay off all my debts and save up some money so that I could apply again. But Community Futures again turned me down, and then that's when a thing called Futurepreneur came up. They brought an event to town, a little workshop or something like that. So young entrepreneurs in town went to Futurepreneur and did a little makeshift starting a business, kind of like games and stuff like that, and coordinate a little idea to get you going, and told you how and where to get the funding. And they are Vancouver based, I believe, but they partner with BDC.
Okay.
And you can apply for up to $45,000. I think it's gone up to like $55,000, and they fund young entrepreneurs 40 and under. 18 to 40 years old or 39 years old is their market. So high interest rates, obviously, because they're taking big chances on you. But they make sure you partner with a mentor that you have to be with for 2 years.
Okay.
Or a year, 2 years like that. You have to make sure you check in with them each month.
Yep.
They have a whole business plan builder, like just this big. They hold your hand and walk you through everything and make sure all your boxes are checked and that you're ready. And then they issue the funds, and on your way you go. And I worked with them for a handful of months, six months or so, I think, and then I had to save up just a little bit more money. I think my debt servicing was a little off or something like that. I can't remember the exact reason, but I think it was just I needed to pay off a few more
personal debts. Or?
Yeah,
okay.
I had to pay off like one of my credit cards or something like that.
Yeah,
and then they would allow me the full $45,000, so I did that. So I went back to work and did that until I could pay it off, and then was able to come back to them, and they gave me the full loan. And then I went looking for a building again, and there was no buildings. Tons of buildings when I had no funding, and then as soon as I got the funding, there was nothing available. And so back to work I went.
Right.
And I worked some more, still looking for a space. And I remember the job I was at, the hours were so atrocious that I was getting sick, so tired, because I had no time to exercise or eat healthy. It was just like pack a quick and dirty lunch and have a quick and dirty supper before you go to bed, and then have to get up in a few hours to go to. It was one of those bush jobs where you had maybe 6 hours between shifts. It was nasty, Monday to Friday, but it saved a lot of money. Allowed me to save up a lot of money. And anyways, I got so sick at that job that I remember one of the times I got sick, I was like, I'm done. Like, I'm putting in, I think I gave him a month's notice, and I said, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm quitting this job in a month, and I'm becoming an entrepreneur. I don't know what I'm going to do in that month, but I've got money saved up. I'm going to figure out something. And I remember I bought a certain aspect of the gym that I run now, but I didn't have the space, but I was like, I'll find a way to make this aspect work.
Right.
And sure enough, my last week of the job comes up, and I find this little space over in the Nicholson Center where an old CrossFit gym used to be, had just opened up, and I was like, well, there you go.
Sometimes it all lines up, right?
One week
after
left.
it not lining up for several dozen times.
It was serendipitous, just like that. After 1,900 things not going well,
did the stream of light come down from a cloud?
Pretty much. I'm
right
just
on
cruising. And it's just like, oh, hey, look at that! It's like it was meant to be. And yeah, they took a chance on me because the other thing was a lot of places in town didn't want to lease to a 24-year-old, 25-year-old
Sure.
starting a parkour gym, and like, no, we're not gonna give you that space or lease to you because that's not gonna work. These guys, they're just like, oh, we'll just sit in here. Sure, let's try a year. Why not? Let's see what happens.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
so they allowed me a year, and I built the space in 2 months, and opened. And then 6 months later, the pandemic hit. There's
There's
a
another
whole
thing
story
not
there.
working out.
Yeah. And then events transpired.
Right. Now, I know we talked a bit about sort of, you were inspired to do the gym because of, your liking for free running and parkour. What was did you have any other motivators behind starting the business that way?
About like being self-employed or about the parkour aspect?
But the parkour aspect, I'd say. I think it's a really unique area because a lot of people are familiar from parkour from like I as a young kid would see two things on YouTube constantly: is the skating videos and the POV parkour videos, and I was like so stoked about that. But I had no idea how to ride a skateboard or do any of the freestyle tricks, right? So
it was in high school. I remember like I played a little bit of volleyball. I think I played a year of football, and it was fun, but it never really got me. I wasn't into the team sport kind of thing,
right.
And like the need to crush the other team and just like being super intense about it was just like, I'll have fun. And I think I was at camp, and we were playing tag in a frame of a house. It was like an unfinished building.
Oh yeah,
we were camping out near it, and so we played tag inside it. And we were running around the house, and remember not wanting to be tagged, so I jumped out of the second story window off the scaffolding and hit the ground and did a parkour roll or a combat roll or whatever roll you want to call it.
Yeah.
Without even realizing what it was, my body just right into it, and I was like, hey, I'm alive. I didn't hit the ground and die, and I didn't get tagged.
Yeah.
The guy behind me did.
There you go.
And then YouTube started getting really big, and you started seeing all those videos that everybody saw coming around, where it was just like hardcore montages, and I was like, oh, cool. And I think honestly, it was the closest thing to superpowers. It was like
that's so cool.
Being able to scale a wall and throw your body around, and I think subconsciously as well, it was the self-starting aspect of it, because the same reason why I'm self-employed now, it's all self-starting. Like if I don't do something, the business closed. If I didn't do whatever, I wouldn't have opened it and all that. And that's just kind of who I am.
Right.
And parkour is every cheesy motivational quote wrapped up into a physical sport. Like it's you versus you. It's conquer your fears, and you can do it if you believe. All that cheesy stuff. But it's honestly that it's I'm afraid to jump 3 feet ahead of me here, and then you do it, and you're like, oh, I didn't know I could do that. And oh, I want to climb that. I didn't think I could do it, and now I can do it. And inspiring other people because they're like, oh, I didn't think that was possible, and I just watched you do it. Now maybe I can do it. It was always about pushing the human body to do bigger stuff rather than trying to conquer someone else. It was like, I don't care what you're doing. This is what I got to do and what I'm going to do and what I can do.
Yeah.
And so I think the parkour, like the sport itself, just pulled me towards it because it was only about what the heck I'm going to do and what I can do. And so besides it being a big hole in town where there was nothing like it, actually, I think there was actually a group in town. I was a little late behind. I think I was still in high school when they were a thing, but they were called the PG Hell Jumpers. And I contacted them right away once we opened. I was like, let's go. But they're all like married with kids. And they long since shut down. I was too late. I was really upset because they only had, our town's not designed for that, like that dense urban environment where you see in the videos where they're jumping off of all these rooftops and areas like Vancouver and all over Europe and stuff is. And so you jump on one thing and then you run for 20 minutes to the next area and jump on two things. And so they would jump around the library and stuff like that you'd see. But so it just eventually disbanded because there just wasn't enough to do. And, life happens and all that. So I was like, a little behind, but.
No, fair enough. And in my cold ones, Sean Evans level of research, I found out that you have you've qualified for some, is it national or international events?
It's wonky because I'm still new to it as well, and I'm just learning that there's actually a whole ninja
Okay.
scene in Canada.
Right.
And ninja and parkour are two different things.
Okay.
Like ninja is the Ninja Warrior, like American Ninja
Right.
Warriors, that
Yeah.
kind of stuff where it's just like rock climbing on steroids kind of thing, where
Yeah.
you're climbing through all these weird, wonky, swinging bars and contraptions, components, and all this kind of equipment, like a big obstacle course. Whereas parkour is there's set structures in front of you, and it's just your body getting across,
Right.
either doing it for style, so like doing flips and tricks and whatnot, because like
Yeah.
even the tricking component, like the backflips and all that, that's very different. I think it's hard to say, but I think free running is more like the tricking side,
Okay.
and parkour is like the traditional, like just the movement. The
Gotcha.
defensive martial art is what they call parkour, and then it's all kind of blended together in a way. I don't think anybody really has the actual definitions of the two, but so the ninja stuff, I found out when I first opened the gym, my goal was to immediately start a ninja competition. I was like,
Okay.
let's do it, because my parkour gym had actually a handful of ninja obstacles in it. So I had the
Okay.
warped wall, I had some ropes, I had some like wall climbing,
Very cool.
little
Yeah.
leg grip grabs and stuff like that. And so I was like, well, I'm going to do a ninja competition, because why not? Well, it was actually, started looking online. I was like, hey, where can I go to compete now that I've got a training ground and I'm ready to get into the sport? And so
Yeah.
I like Googled American Ninja Warrior and tried to get on it. And it turns out, shocker, you have to be American.
Ah. Boo.
Yeah, I know, right? And it's so weird, dude. They've got Ninja Warrior for just about every other place except for Canada. It's so strange.
No.
Yeah, it's very strange how they do that.
Yeah.
Because they had like the USA versus the world ninja stuff.
Okay.
It's like
Yeah.
USA versus the world, but not Canada. Screw those guys.
No.
And so anyways, I was like, well, I'm going to start my own competition then. So I planned out the course. I bought some more equipment and designed this little ninja course, and then sent it out there. Be like, hey, everyone, come join. And
Yeah.
got a handful of interest, but unsurprisingly, it was like everyone was like, well, I can't do that. It's so new, right?
Yeah.
And such a strange concept to hear that. And we were non-existent. No one even knew about us. So
Right.
it was tough to get some people in. But then the pandemic started to creep in.
Sure.
And so
Yeah.
it started to push more against it. And then, yeah, right before our scheduled event, they were suggesting everyone shut down and close down. So we just
Right.
ran the event real quick, which was really cool, a lot of fun. And we ran it real fast. And then the next day we shut down.
Right.
But during that, because I had posted on social media a ninja competition,
Yeah.
the Canadian Ninja League that had recently just started as well, I think only like a year or so prior.
Oh wow.
Maybe more. I don't know their full story, but they contacted me saying, hey, do you want to enter your gym to be a qualifying gym and like join our network
wow.
of gyms?
Yeah.
So that if someone wants to run my competition, they qualify and they get their time and all that, and they can qualify
Right.
across the leaderboards in the
Yeah.
whole league and go from there. And I was like, oh, yeah, sweet, let's do it. I didn't do it for that first event because I didn't have all the rules and whatnot. And we just, and also the pandemic.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, oh, we'll close down for a week here.
and
And then we'll hit it back up afterwards. And then 2 years later, here we are. And anyways, yeah, so that's how I heard about the Ninja League.
Yeah.
But then COVID. So
Right.
I didn't get to compete in it for 2 years.
Yeah.
They tried on and off to get it going. It got all messy and open, close, as everything ended up
Sure.
doing.
Yeah.
But then October 2021.
Yep.
I think. No. 20. What was it? Man, time just like blended. What was it? 2020 was the whole year of
2020 was the first. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
the whole year
2021
shut down.
October
Yeah.
is when they just said, okay, we're gonna do it anyways, because we're like, we can kind of run at proper capacities. Everything is kind of opening back up again. We're gonna run
Right.
some event. What we missed, the whole season got jammed in the last bit. So they said we have 4 events.
Yep.
And if you qualify top 3 in any of those events, it just directly pushed you to
Oh, wow.
Worlds.
Yep.
And so I guess there's a ninja league for the world,
Yep.
which I didn't know about. And I also just found out there's another one too called UNAA, which is like United Ninja Association or of something.
Okay.
Not America. I thought it was gonna be that. But something. Anyways, so I guess there's a handful of pretty high end, like
Yep.
not American Ninja Warrior TV show level, but like still respectable competition leagues and circuits that you can go into. So the Canadian Ninja League, actually, which was created by the gym in Vancouver, Momentum Ninja.
Okay.
They actually just did their first nationals last year. So that's what I'll be trying for this year. But the year before that was, I placed second in my first event, which qualified me for Worlds. But
Wow,
then
yeah.
Worlds ended up being in South Dakota at the time, which
Right.
was like a $2,000 flight. And
Oh, bummer. Yeah.
with the financial constraints of trying to keep my gym alive
Yeah.
during the whole COVID thing, that didn't make sense at the time. So I had to give up that
Fair
spot.
enough,
and
yeah.
figured I'd try again next year. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm doing now. Is I'm just starting the season. My first competition is February 18th in Calgary. And we'll see what happens this year with that.
Super exciting. So how does one prepare for like that level of sport, I guess is my question. I mean, I feel like I would have to do a lot of sit-ups or something to get ready.
The funny thing about it is just an adult playground. That's all it is. It's like it's just a playground
Yeah.
that you just get better and better at moving your body through. Like, for example, when you come to my gym, our open gym nights, there's parkour that's happening and some climbing and some fitness stuff. But for the most part, it always devolves into tag.
Right.
Bunch
yeah.
of full-grown adults playing tag for 2 hours, and it's just a blast. And it's such a good workout because you're playing, so you don't realize
Yeah.
how hard you're working. You're climbing, swinging, jumping, running, all this stuff,
Yeah.
and you're going hard because you don't want to be tagged, and
Yeah.
and it kills you in a good way. But for the ninja stuff, yeah, it's basic fitness. Like if you can hold yourself up and
Yep.
swing on stuff, and maybe do a pull up or two, and just have some stamina.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it's easier than rock climbing because
Right.
you're not on these tiny little rock grabs.
Yeah,
So like
yeah,
rock
yeah.
climbing is taking a very, very crazy amount of grip strength, but the ninja stuff is the obstacles are all over the place. Like
Yeah.
you got fat bars and thin bars and weird bendy bars and like swinging things and maybe
Yeah.
a rope here. Like you never know what it's up to the gym to make its own course, and they could
Okay.
add.
Yeah.
I think their only requirements at the moment are 6 upper body and 6 lower body, or 5 upper
Gotcha.
body obstacles, and
lot
they're
of-
different every time. Like there was
Yeah.
one gym that had these weird smiley obstacles. They're like little like smiley faces on them where you had to get your
Okay.
fingers in between.
Oh,
and you had to
dear,
swing
yeah.
on it and it would and jump through, and
Yeah.
there was a weird block or a teeter totter that you had to run across. Like it's all so
A
random.
lot of being prepared for the unexpected.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And so yeah, just basic fitness is enough to get you into the competitions, and they've got all
Yeah.
sorts of age categories and ranges and
Very cool.
whatnot, which is really cool. So it's very welcoming and open sport. And
Yeah.
even if you're not like crazy fit, like a rock climber or a parkour athlete like that,
Right.
you can still run the competition
Yeah.
and have a good time.
Give it
It's
a
just
try,
you're
right?
playing,
Try
right?
something else new,
Yeah,
and
it's not like sudden death where you mess up once and you're out. It's
Yeah.
like you just get more points for more obstacles you complete. So you just
Right.
you run through the course and you do your best, and you had fun because you played on a course. And it's different than like doing like a bodybuilding competition or something like that, or whatever. It's just
Yeah.
you're just playing.
Very cool. Yeah. I've been asking a question this season that's been a little potentially divisive for the audience, but I got to know, Riley, what's your favorite place to grab food here in town?
Oh man, that's
That's
not easy.
It's a lot of loyal listeners, right?
Yeah.
Like, and we got so
I don't
many
want to piss
places.
people off, and say the wrong one. I don't know. That's a tough one because there's a lot of options.
There are.
I just tried the Korean dog place.
Okay.
Those fancy giant hot dogs on a stick that are just like have a million different options. That was actually really good.
Nice.
So I enjoyed that.
I'm glad that you can be a parkour athlete and eat deep fried hot dogs. Like,
It's
that's
because I
amazing.
play tag for 2 hours
Yeah.
every night. Yeah.
So
yeah.
if anyone's feeling guilty about their hot dog purchase,
Yeah. Just all you gotta do
come to Olympus Freerunning
and play tag, and you can have it all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We talked about you started your business off mid to late 2019, which is so ominous now that we're talking about it today. COVID happened for a lot longer than a lot of people expected, but now, pandemic restrictions are lifted. You're seeing kids go out and do sports again. You're seeing adults try to get back out there and meet new people and try out new things. So what are kind of your business goals for 2023 with that in mind?
Oh man. Well, it was. Oh man, I don't even know how to start that. Like that's so. I have to give a little bit of the some preface to that. Did I say that right? Is it preface or preface?
Boy, not the right person to ask.
Okay. Well, anyone listening, please let us know, because I feel like we're both just sitting here like a couple of dummies. Whatever, the backstory, just a little bit to tell the rest of the story there. I've moved the gym 3 times in the 3 years that we've been
Right.
running because of the pandemic and because of just lack of business knowledge. Like, had I been a little more patient, I could have stayed in my very first spot, which would have saved me a ton of time, money,
Sure.
trouble, everything. But the gym at that point cost me $4,000 just in the lease to
Right.
stay in that spot. And with the government saying your business is closed, you have to
Yep.
just sit here and you don't know how long. I made a panic decision to downsize because coincidentally a little tiny unit attached to mine, like right next door, became
Yep.
available. I'm like, okay, well, half the rent, I will tear down my whole gym. That took me 2 months to build or whatever. I'll tear it all down.
Yep.
I'll stuff it in this little tiny back corner one.
Yep.
And I'll rebuild it and I'll ride that out. Because this unit, even the landlord, he said he wanted to do it for a year. I could have stayed longer probably because everything went kind of or was going well.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the ideal space. Like I needed most parkour gyms to have like a nice 20-foot ceiling, like a lot of air
Sure,
space,
yeah,
and
yeah.
just more room,
Verticality, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
just a lot more space. And so I was like, well, I'll start here and then I'll grow into the bigger one. So when I moved to the small one, I was like, well, I'm gonna have to move anyways here soon. Once in like a few weeks when the pandemic's over,
Yeah.
I'll hop into a new space. So I'll ride it out in this little space and just kind of stay alive and save on the rent while I'm closed. And then the rent assistance came out.
Yeah.
And had I known that, even my landlord was like, "Oh, dang, we should have stayed in the big space because that just meant more money for them
Sure enough.
being paid by the
Yeah.
government, right?
Yeah.
Because it would have just covered more. Whereas my smaller space was half the rent, so
Yeah.
it was lose for both of us. And yeah, so that few month plan to stay out in this little space turned into 2 years,
Yeah.
unfortunately, and I had to ride out in this little shoebox of a space for 2 years.
Yeah.
And I survived, but it was at the point where it was starting to suffocate. The business was and myself, like it's not what I made the gym for, was to be this little shoebox in a back
Yeah.
alley. Like
No,
that,
absolutely.
that was heartbreaking and a struggle to stay motivated to want to do it when it was like no matter what I tried, I was getting nowhere.
Yeah.
And the business also had to completely change its direction. Like I built it as a teen and adult facility. And because all the kids sports got shut down, or pretty much everything got shut down, but like the kids sports as well.
Yeah.
I was in some weird gray area where I wasn't like an organized sport, so I could stay open for kids. And so that actually gave me a huge boost in awareness for kids.
Right. Yeah.
And for parents looking for something for the kids to do. And so I actually got a big influx of children,
Yep.
8 plus ages, to come to the space, but my space wasn't designed for that. So I had to completely pivot and also learn how to teach kids classes and learn how to teach mainly because my gym was more so open gym style. And I teach a few adults here, but it was more open gym, drop in kind of thing and just come have fun.
Yeah.
So I had to learn how to teach kids and also adjust the space to be safer for smaller little people. And so that was hard too, because I was like, well, this isn't the dream. This isn't what I made it for.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that there was another pivot there. And then it was a lot of mental kind of trying to keep the thing going, wanting to keep the thing going. And yeah, so I was suffocating. The gym was suffocating because we were just stuck in this little back alley, no front entrance, barely any exposure because no one was going out and doing anything. And so I said, well, I either pack it in, which was a thought a handful of times during the 2 years. I pack it in, or I Hail Mary and move to a bigger space. And I found, coincidentally again, my landlord said, well, we got this space.
Yeah.
It's not great, but like it's a good option. It was right beside my old unit. Still no front door, but at least it had a second entrance. So, I mean, that was a little better. And so I said, okay, well, it's bigger. That's all that matters is that I've got more space and I can actually kind of expand. Yeah. And so I took the summer again. Same thing. I just took the summer, first time I moved it. And 2 months to rebuild it in this new space. And then it got worse from there. Everything went down even more. This unit turned into an absolute nightmare. I had some issues with the landlords because there was some equipment and spacing issues. Like the space I rented was not great. It was kind of a storage unit.
Right.
And so I don't even think my landlord was aware of some of the issues that were in the space. So that we both got blinds, had a bunch of issues that I couldn't have in there. But the biggest one came from the city. Unfortunately, the city missed something when I first got my business license back in 2019. And that allowed me to move ahead with my business license. Well, in my first space would have been fine, but when I moved to that small space, I need to have 2 bathrooms as a gym to have a certain amount of people in my space.
Right.
So for the first space had 2 bathrooms, second place did not. But when I moved to the smaller space, I just applied, or I called them up and asked for a change of address, and they gave it to me. And then 2 years, renewed, had all my business licenses, and everything was good. And then as soon as I moved to the third space, they said, "Oh, you need 2 bathrooms." And I was like, "Where was that 3 years ago?"
Oh, no.
Had I known that 3 years ago, I would have been forced to stay in that first space.
Yeah.
And we'd be smiling. But I wouldn't have as much of a good story, you know?
That's right. The origin story.
Exactly. Yeah. Got the grind, you know, the cliche. But yeah, so now it's looking like I have to find a 4th place. So that's build the gym the 4th time in 4 years. But right now there's nothing available in town. And if you can find something, it costs you $10,000 to $20,000 a month. It's insane.
Yeah.
So it's just waiting it out for now until I can find the bigger space.
Yep.
But so the dream with the gym, the goal and the long-term vision is there's so much untapped potential here for events and fundraising and tourism with a parkour gym. Like anyone that's in the parkour community, which here is not very much yet, but down in the one, there's the the gym down in Vancouver. They've been around for 10 years, but they've got an event that was sponsored by Red Bull.
Oh, wow.
It attracts world-class athletes, like famous parkour people from all over the world come to this event to compete. And it's huge down there. And then all over the UK it's even bigger. And like you go look at Red Bull, and it's a massive thing with them. So when I originally started the gym, I had all these fundraising ideas and these events, and I want to still do those. So the hope is to keep the gym alive, for one.
Yeah.
Like to stick it out long enough to find a big enough space to where I'm not in some creepy back alley with no front door.
Sure.
And it's an inviting thing, and then I can start doing the fundraising events. Like it's how easy it is to have people come in and jump around and play for a bit and donate to charity of some kind, or run an event where I run my own little ninja event where like I had one dream event before I even started the gym. I thought it would be so cool. It would be to get our service people like police, firefighter, paramedics to all make their own little individual ninja teams. Yeah. And then leading up to the event, people will donate to help out their teams. Maybe give them like little bonuses here or something like that. It's like a 5-second head start if they raise a certain amount of money.
Cool.
Yeah. And the winner of the event also gets some bump towards charity.
Okay.
And stuff like that. And I thought that'd be awesome because then like everybody would come watch our service people kind of do a little ninja event. And I don't know if you've heard of World Chase Tag at all. It's like the professional tag.
Oh, you know what? I have seen that.
Yeah, everyone, it's going around. And that's getting really popular and really big. It's actually on ESPN2 now, I think, which is really cool. We started doing that in some of our open gyms and classes, and it's a blast. So I figured it'd be a perfect opportunity to have people to actually start like almost like what do you call it? Like an intramural or like a beer league kind of World Chase Tag league or something. You get your team of 2 or 3 and you come in every Tuesday night or once or twice a month and you work your way through it, like kind of like the dodgeball, like the adult dodgeball.
Yeah, run like a tournament almost.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's just playing tag and it gets really intense and it's really fun. Yeah. Killer workout. So there's that. So I like between ninja, World Chase Tag, and just parkour competitions in general. Yeah. There's one gym in Penticton who contacted me about potentially starting an interior parkour league. So cool. We might even have another type of parkour competition here up north, or like in the kind of the mid range, as opposed to the one and only that's down in Vancouver, which is like a crazy world class event. We might have like an entry level one here, which would be really cool. So yeah, there's just a ton of opportunity. It's just making it through this. Like had the pandemic, who knows where I'd be if the pandemic didn't hit. Yeah. But it's just shaking that off. Because before the pandemic, we had tons of teens and adults jumping around the space. Like I think I was open 6 days a week, and every second night or something like that, maybe 3 or 4 days nights a week, we'd have open gyms for 2 hours, and it would just be about anywhere from 15 to 20 adults, teens and adults. I went from like 15 years old all the way up to 50 years old.
Wow, yeah.
For 2 or 3 hours playing tag each night. And that's I don't want everybody to think that the gym is just like meant for tag. But that's always what it kind of got into, because it was just it was always fun. But you jump around, you get you warmed up, you do your kind of goofing around, and then you'd can turned into tag. But yeah, all ages playing tag for hours
Yep.
a night. And then the pandemic forced everybody to sit down and stay inside.
Yep.
And so just even for myself, it was a pain to try and get out and
there,
get active again. And
Yeah.
so to get out and do something is hard enough. To get out and do something and pay for it is even harder. And then get out and do something super strange that you don't want to be seen trying as a newbie and pay for it is even harder. Yeah. So that's why I did take the barrier. I tried to make the barrier entry as low as possible. So I took away the price. So like I made so my open gyms are free for teens and adults, and trying to get people back in. But even that is still tough. So my hope is that if I can, around juggling every other aspect of the business, try and set up like a chase tag tournament or like another ninja event or something like that, or try and find a way to get people in that they see that it's actually not as hard as it seems, and it doesn't have to be that intense. It's just good, fun fitness.
Sort of spend some time reaching new audiences, and now that you can, right now that you have that ability.
But now it's just fighting with the current land, like my current building situation.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't want to move the gym a fourth time, but like I said, it's hard to get people to come to my little back alley gym that no one knows about, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's a struggle there, but I don't know. I'm hopeful.
We talked a bit about the barrier to entry to parkour and sort of like how it's very open and accessible to everybody. But I think a lot of adults who might be listening to this, they might be amped up. They might be like, oh, parkour sounds very interesting. But they might still have a bit of like reservations to come out and try it. So what advice would you give to someone who's sort of hesitant to try out a new sport like this, especially the adults who've been sort of stuck at home over COVID and might want to look for something a little more fun in terms of exercise?
All right, I got a lot on that one. Okay. First, and I sound biased, but parkour or free running or like the ninja community is one of the best communities of physical activity you can get into, because it's never at any point, even though there's some competitions, it's still never about trying to beat the other team. So you show up and you do something, or you see someone else do something, you're like, whoa, that's really cool. I would love to try and do that. Whereas you come into like any sort of competitive something, even if it's after hours, or you're goofing around, whatever, it's, hey, we're all buddies, but by the way, I have to beat you. And then there's always just that little bit of competition where like, and then people get frustrated if you lose and yada, yada. Whereas like a parkour thing, you come in and it's just like, let's see how far we can push the human body together. Yeah. Like, I'm going to do it this way. You try it this way. Oh, cool. I did it. And then it's like, what can we do next? And then it's always, we're building off each other. So like when we had our open gyms, one person would be doing something, and in like 3 minutes, the entire gym would be in a lineup, all trying the move one after each other. Right. And we'd all be trying something new together and pushing it and seeing what we could do. And then if someone did something really crazy, it was a spectacle. And it was really cool to watch. It wasn't, oh man, that guy did so much better than me and he beat me. Like, what a jerk. Oh, I'm mad. I'm not doing this again. It was like, whoa, that was really cool to see. I'll never do that. But it was really cool to see. I'm going to keep it on this level. And then you just keep doing your level. And it's always just about you and you. Yeah. And yeah, so if you can come into it with the mindset that it's just good fun and it's about pushing yourself and conquering some fears and stuff like that, you'll have a good time. And then you have to also make sure you take out the stereotype of, which I'm impressed you haven't said yet. Very good. The Office meme.
Oh man.
Don't even say it.
Oh man, no.
Don't say it. I'll leave. I will walk out now. Yeah. Like I said, if I had $1 for every time someone sent me that in my parkour time, I would have had the gym funded. I wouldn't need to pay or my bills would be paid. You take that image out of your head, and then you take the other end of it out where it's like Red Bull Art of Motion and James Bond movies and stuff like that, where people are jumping and climbing buildings. Like, you take those two things out, there's a vast middle ground where it's just body confidence. Yeah. All it is training to trust your own 2 feet. You come in, and you can start as simple and as small as possible. I could put little tape X. You could even put little tape X's on the ground 2 inches apart, and your goal is to step from one X to the other. Right. Parkour. There, I said it.
There you go.
Yeah. It's that simple. Or then from there, that gets boring. Then you just add a step, and you just push it a little bit further, a couple inches further, and then you add another thing. You add a jump in, and you grow. And all it is just you doing one thing until it gets boring. And then you can easily just make it a little more scary. Your body's going to be like, well, okay, I'm bored. We can make it easier or harder if we want to. And then you're self-starting, and you're doing that, and it's a ton of confidence building.
Yeah.
And honestly, like I said, it's self-starting, so it's actually like it's a good tool for daily life. Like,
Yep.
I'm not going to jump over that box unless I jump over that box. I don't have a team that I need to jump over the box for. I have to do this for me.
Yeah.
And so it's a good training tool for the mentality behind it, which is awesome. So people just coming in that want to give it a shot know that most of the time we play tag. That's usually what it turns into, which is fun.
Yeah.
And you can go as crazy or as slow as you want. And then, you can go and sit in the corner with 2 landers and just hop back and forth, left and right, whatever you want on these 2 things. Bring a buddy in. You guys can just play tag on landers, and that's how you build the foot coordination. Then you start walking on the obstacles, and go as slow as you need because it's the option there. There's no one else pushing you to do anything huge, and there's no one telling you that what you're doing is too small.
Yep.
You come in and you just have fun.
Yeah, it sounds like, I'm hearing low barrier to entry. I'm hearing self-driven, self-starting.
Just a pair of shoes is all you need.
You don't have to blow through your comfort zone. It's really cool. It's good to think of it as such an accessible sport.
Yeah. People do it in jeans. Like, you don't even need like fancy equipment. Like, it
makes
makes
me
me cringe.
cringe.
It makes me cringe. I hate jeans in general. But
Thinking
doing
about-
parkour in jeans,
Splitting my jeans in front of people. I mean,
it would, at the very least, it would protect your shins if you happen to like slip and you hit
True.
your shins. A little bit of thick jeans would be nicer than shorts, but yeah, you could. I wear sweatpants and a hoodie almost the whole time, and yeah, you don't need any fancy gym wear or anything. Like that. People show up in their jeans and their Vans and they rock it out, and yeah, very low barrier.
thank you so much for coming on today, Riley. If you could let the show off here with just one last piece of advice for our audience today.
Well, I would say if there's, oh man, I'm going to sound so cliche and cheesy, but if there's something you want to do, just honestly do it. There is a way to do just about anything in our world now. So if you're bored, you're unhappy, there's something you want in life, there's no reason why you can't create it with your own 2 hands.